asked a question. And the question was that science would reveal to us whether Native Americans were human or not. And that's a paraphrase. Ever since that call to science to determine what race is, there has been a thrust to define race according to how the government sees it or what pleases the government. So when we look at race in the United States, what we must recognize is that every form that we fill out, where there's a racial category or the census that we fill out, are all part of the government's attempt to recognize race in a particular kind of way, with a particular kind of purpose in mind. As we look at the census as an example, what we recognize is that the census is done because it is a constitutional mandate. It's a part of the U.S. Constitution, so we have to do census because of the Constitution. But how that census has been determined, or the categories for taking that census, has changed over time. There was a time when white people weren't one monolithic group, that they were made up of different European ethnic groups. And at some point, they all became this thing called white. I will submit to you that there are also no Hispanics in Mexico, that Hispanics only exist when they come to the United States. So when we think about this concept of race, we must take into account that it is governments themselves that organize people and give us our racial categories. If you, as an affirmative action officer, what I know is if you don't pick a race on an application or on a survey given in your employment circles, that someone will pick that race for you. And if you pick more than one race, that's great. But what that actually does is give people who make the decisions more choices on where to place you in this construct, this circle of racial conversation. So race is determined by governmental structures, and it has changed over time. What race means has changed over time. And so we'll talk more about that in some sessions outside of the museum. This is Andre Koen. I am at the Rochester Apache Mall at the Race, the Difference Between Us exhibit here in Rochester. So we'll take another look around this place and have some more conversations. So we hope to see you here at the Apache Mall in Rochester, Minnesota. Look forward to engaging with race, the difference between us.